Mega! This year, Christmas will be ours!
What's going on, y'all? So, today, we are here to talk about what is probably my favorite movie. Like, when people ask me what my favorite movie is, it's Nightmare Before Christmas. It's always a toss-up between Nightmare Before Christmas, Toy Story, and Lion King. And yes, I'm aware that I'm probably too old for those to be my favorite movies, but I love them because not only the message behind them, but behind Lion King and Toy Story. I love the message behind those. We're going to get into what the message behind Nightmare Before Christmas is. But before we get into that, I just want to give y'all a brief summary and a quick little intro into what Nightmare Before Christmas is if you've never seen it before. One of my favorite descriptions of this movie, I think it's from YouTube. I'm not 100% sure. I can't find where it's from, but this description reads: the film follows the misadventures of Jack Skellington, Halloween Town's beloved Pumpkin King, who has become bored with the same annual routine of frightening people in the real world. When Jack accidentally stumbles on Christmas Town, all bright colors and warm spirits, he gets a new lease on life. He plots to bring Christmas under his control by kidnapping Santa Claus and taking over the role. But Jack soon discovers even the best laid plans of mice and skeleton men can go seriously awry. So listen, that description tells you everything that you need to know. And I mean that in every sense of the word. That description lets you know every single thing that you need to know about this movie. Because Nightmare Before Christmas is a movie that I think when you watch it through a different lens as an adult, you really get a sense. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Okay, let me stop myself before I get into any kind of long discussions about what the movie is. Let me tell you a little bit about the movie. And I mean, the description does a pretty good job of it, but Jack comes back on Halloween night after, scaring people, whatever else. And they sing what is probably my favorite song of the movie. This is Halloween, where everyone in the town is just talking about how lovely, how great Halloween is. They're introducing themselves. I am the one hiding under your bed, teeth round, sharp, and eyes glowing red. And you get so many different little references to I am the who when you call who's there, things like that. And I love that song. I think that being the opening to the movie was a genius move. The opening song to it, that was a genius move because it is so catchy. And as soon as you hear it, you want to be immersed in this world. So they sing the song. Jack is introduced towards the end of the song. He's the Pumpkin King. Everyone is just lavishing him with praise, saying how amazing he is, things like that. And he's like, oh yeah, well, okay. And he walks out into a graveyard and he starts singing a song. And the song that he's singing is basically saying how he's tired of the same old thing. He wants something new. He's aching in his bones for a new life, for some new adventure, for something that's going to give him a sense of longing. So that lets you know what Jack's character arc is going to be right there. And I love it. So as Jack is singing, he's being watched by Sally, who is a woman who was created in a lab by a doctor in town. I do question why that doctor was making women in a lab, because later on in the movie, he makes another one that he feels like can keep up with what he's saying by giving her half of his brain. And I'm like, sir, what are we doing here? Because right now it's giving creepy. It's giving very Professor X from Powerpuff Girls, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, Jack is wandering through the woods and he comes upon these set of doors in trees, and each one of them has a different shape to it. Like one is not a pumpkin. One is a turkey. One is a Christmas tree. One is an Easter egg. Things like that. And he goes to the one that's the Christmas tree because, I mean, clearly it's the most beautiful. When he opens it, nothing happens initially, but then a little wind comes with some snow and it transports him to Christmas Town. And so when he gets there, he's introduced to Christmas. He's introduced to, having visions of sugar plums. He's seeing snow for the first time. He smells pies and cakes and cookies being baked, and he sees the happiness and the joy, but most importantly, he feels the happiness and the joy. And he realizes that this is what's missing from his life, is this happiness, because everything that he does is shrouded in screams. It's shrouded in horror, and it's always about scaring and being grotesque and bringing fear into people. And this is something that he realizes he needs to partake in. So he goes back to Halloween Town, and he tries to share it with everyone, but they don't really have the same level of enthusiasm because they don't really grasp it the way Jack does. Because Jack does kind of seem like he's the smartest person in the town. Like, I don't know how smart Jack is compared to like your normal person, but he seems very highly intelligent. And then everyone else in the town seems like they're just kind of like there. The mayor is even coming to him and asking him for help. And he's like, I've got the plans for next Halloween. And then he's like, Jack, I can't make decisions by myself. I'm just an elected official. I'm going to try my hardest to stop doing voices. I promise you. But that's what I love about this movie, is that like every time I watch it, it's almost like I catch something new. And those funny voices and whatnot are part of the reason that I grew up wanting to be in the entertainment business. It's just the way that people can emote and the way that people can have an entire character and you never see what they actually look like. They're doing all of it behind a screen. It just is so... I just love it. And I love this movie because of it. And so, anyway. So, Jack decides he's gonna try to use like the scientific method to figure out what Christmas is, things like that. At the same time, Sally is trying to escape from the doctor who created her. Now, here's what's interesting about this movie from that perspective. So when Sally leaves the castle or whatever that they live in, she has to like slip him something to make him go to sleep. And there was one day I was watching it and I was like, Sally is drugging this man. Like, she'll put like some deadly nightshade or something in there. Like in this world, you can use herbs to put people to sleep. And at one point she tries to mask it with like frog's breath. And I just kept thinking like, Sally is drugging him. Like to the point where she had a spoon with holes in it so that she could pretend to taste the soup to deceive him into letting her go. And I was like, girl, like, what are we watching? I don't know. It was given very Law and Order, so I didn't know what to do with that. But what I will say is it fits into the overall theme of the movie, which again we will get into later on. So Jack discovers, what it is that's missing, and essentially what it is that's missing is he wants to do Christmas. That's essentially what he's missing. And we'll get into that. Let me just tell you about the movie. So Jack decides that he's going to do his Christmas. He gets everyone in town involved. Everyone has a task. And so the most important thing is bringing Santa Claus there. And now, I know I said earlier that Jack is the smartest person in town. But here's where I question whether that statement is true. So Jack needs Santa Claus brought to town. So instead of doing it himself, he sends Oogie Boogie, who is like, I'm assuming like the boogeyman, and he lives like under a tree down in the ground. Like, he's a scary figure. He has 3 kids that work for him, and they're his henchmen. So Jack enlists their help to kidnap Santa Claus. And he basically threatens them and is like, leave that no account Oogie Boogie out of this. And I was like, and of course they were, like crossing their fingers behind their back because they were lying to him when they said that they would. And I just thought, Jack can't be this stupid. Like, Jack couldn't possibly be that naive and that trusting and that. It's giving Rose Notland. Like, that just seems like something Rose would do. That entrusting them with such an important task, and that they're his henchmen, and then being like, but leave him out of it. I just felt like, Jack, what was the point? The vampires could have, the vampires could have went and got him. Anybody could have went and got him. He could have went and got him. But no, he sends 3 children who work for apparently the worst person in their town. And I'm like, okay. So first they kidnap the Easter Bunny, and it's hilarious. Then he makes them take them back. And then they kidnap Santa Claus. But before they get to kidnapping and stuff, they sing this song, and it's called Kidnap the Santa Claus. And it is, I just love it so much. Like, kidnap the, I don't know if I can sing this because, number one, I don't know if I'm going to get sued. I don't know if this is appropriate for me to be singing it. I don't know if they're going to, I don't think that's a copyright thing, no? I don't know. I guess we'll find out, huh? We'll find out together. I'll keep you updated. So on their second try, they get Santa Claus. Santa Claus is so confused. And in the meantime, Jack is, still giving out everyone's tasks. And he wants Sally to help him with his Santa Claus suit. And Sally is telling him, I don't like this. I don't think this is appropriate. She's already had a premonition. I think that she had the vision beforehand where she was like holding a little tree, a little limb, and it turned into a Christmas tree. Then it was set ablaze. It went on fire. Now, what I was confused about with that was, what is special about Sally that she's having these visions? I don't know. I still don't understand that. And I've been watching this movie for 30 years. And I don't understand what was so special about Sally that she was having visions. But that's neither here nor is it there. So she tries to warn Jack. Jack is completely oblivious. And the kids bring Santa Claus back. And Jack is basically telling him like, oh, don't worry, you're gonna have a vacation this year. And Santa Claus is like, what are you talking about? And Jack is like, y'all gonna make him comfortable. And then he takes the man's hat and is like, this is the missing piece of the puzzle. And I was like, Jack, baby, what are we doing? I don't know. The whole thing, I was like, Jack, you gotta get it together, because over the course of the past month, or so, month and a half, 2 months, whatever, between Halloween and Christmas, he and everyone in the town, they've been making like toys and whatever else, and they've been making like the most horrible toys. Like, they've been like, somebody was trying to make a hat out of a dead bat, and Jack was like, no, you need a fresher one. I don't even think it was a bat. I think it was a rat. I think they were making a hat out of a rat. And just like horrible stuff. And Jack gets the doctor who created Sally to make some reindeer, but they're reindeer skeletons and they can fly. It's very disturbing. And so we're just going to fast forward a little bit to Christmas Eve, because first and foremost, Oogie Boogie is ready. He is ready to eat Santa Claus. I think he wants to eat Santa Claus. That was my understanding. And the night of Christmas Eve, Jack is about to go, take flight. And Sally's like, no, we're not doing this. And she puts some fog juice into like some water, and then she creates this huge haze. Sally got access to some stuff that I think is dangerous. I don't think Sally should have as much access to this stuff as she does. Like, why do we have fog juice Why are we sitting here with stuff that can knock people out? Like, what is really going on? Because right now, Sally is giving very much, don't worry about what I do behind closed doors. Again, it's giving Law and Order, but I'm going to be quiet. I'm not going to question it because it does fit into the overall theme of the movie. So, we in the final stretch, y'all. Me and my long-winded explanation. So, what ends up happening from there, Sally goes to save Santa because she knows that she thinks Santa is the only person that can, stop all of this and make Christmas right. Oogie catches her. Sally is smart, I will say, because this whole movie she's been like sewing her arms back on and stuff like that. And so what she does to distract Oogie so she can save Santa, she takes her leg off and she goes to sway him and tempt him, Oogie, while she's untying Santa. Very good plan, but of course it wasn't a lasting plan, and Oogie takes in a lot of air. He's like a vacuum, and he's bringing. It's a weird power to have. I didn't really. Anyway, so at the same time, Jack is playing Santa Claus, and he's like putting presents in these kids' houses, but he's leaving like shrunken heads and snakes that eat people and vampire dolls that come to life and float, and dead duck toys that, like, he's leaving the most horrible stuff. So people started calling the police. So then the police are like, bar the windows, turn fire. Like, people were turning their fireplaces on. They were trying to roast him. They said, you come in here and you gonna get something. And I was like, I don't know if that's really gonna work, because he was on fire earlier in the movie and all he did was just, jump in some water real quick and he was okay. So that may work, that may not. I don't 100% know. The military gets involved. First off, the fact that the military was able to mobilize that quickly, I was like, what kind of military y'all got? And I don't even know where the military was supposed to be at, because Jack was flying above the same city that he had been flying around. I don't even know that he understands that he's supposed to go around the world, because Jack was like in one city. And the military there, they start shooting cannons, and he's like, oh, that almost hit me. And then they hit him again, and I think they took out one of the reindeer, and he's like, they're trying to hit me. And I was like, yeah, Jack, they are. And now, mind you, the way Jack got out of the fog was his ghost dog has a glowing nose. That's another thing that I don't really understand what the point of that was, other than to incorporate it and make Zero into like, Zero is the dog, to make Zero into like Rudolph. And I don't know. This movie does its own thing. So Jack gets shot out of the sky and he falls. And he's looking at the rubble around him. He's looking at the destroyed reindeer. He's looking at the destroyed sleigh. And he starts singing, "What Have I Done?" This is where I say, when you look at this movie as an adult, you get a whole new perspective on it. So Jack is singing about what has he done? How has he messed this up? And then somehow in the midst of singing about this and the turmoil that he's feeling from it, he decides that he's going to go back to Halloween because that's his true passion, and that everyone else just didn't understand what he was trying to do, and essentially they didn't let him be great. And we'll come back. We'll put a pin in that. So he goes back to Halloween Town, and he, for some reason, knows to go straight to Oogie's lair and save Santa Claus and Sally. And I was very confused on how he knew to go specifically there, because it almost seemed like he just assumed that the kids would have taken Santa there. And I was thinking, that doesn't make any sense, because you told them not. I don't know. Anyway, so he said after an epic showdown of epic proportions, he literally unravels Oogie Boogie, releasing all his bugs. And yes, Oogie is made up of bugs. And he, wins, and he releases Santa. And Santa's like, the next time somebody gets some idea like this, I'd listen to her. And he's talking about Sally, and he's like, she's the only one with any sense in this insane asylum. And so Jack is like, why did you come back to save me? Because Jack is oblivious that Sally is in love with him. And she's like, well, and then everyone sees that Jack is alive, and they're like, oh my God, Jack. So they're having a celebration, and as they're celebrating, Santa comes overhead and he makes it snow. And everyone's experiencing snow for the first time. And Sally, she kind of goes off on her own, and she's up there on the hill that Jack was singing on earlier. And okay, this is my favorite. This is my favorite part of the movie. Jack comes up and he sings this song to her in the snow, and he's basically saying that the two of them are meant to be together. It was given very Niles and Daphne, where he didn't realize anything, and then the moment he did, he's saying they're meant to be together. But again, neither here nor there. And the movie ends. Okay. Here's my thing with this movie when you watch it as an adult. Jack was unhappy with his life, discovered quote unquote discovered something new in a different location, he made the executive decision to take it over, and told everyone in town Christmas is theirs this year. He had Santa Claus kidnapped and framed it as giving Santa a break and a vacation. And then when things didn't go the way he planned, because what he did was horrible, he reframed it in his mind as if no one really understood what he was trying to do. And now he's just going to go back to his passion, because he's going to go back where he's appreciated. Jack Skellington is the Christopher Columbus of Disney stop animation. And I just can't, like my brain, the one year I was watching it, and it clicked on me what I just watched. And all I could think was, Jack is insane. Jack is insane, because truly, he took over a holiday that had nothing to do with him, ruined it, and then was like, they should have appreciated me more, but they didn't, because they're just not capable of understanding. And I can't. That's why I said Sally drugging her creator, baby, it fits right on in with the theme of the movie. Do whatever you're gonna do. Do whatever you want. Who cares? Like, there's no consequences. The kids who kidnapped Santa Claus and took him to Oogie Boogie, they didn't have any consequences. No one called them out on a line to Jack. It was just like, oh, well, we got some snow, so now we can all play some, throw snowballs at each other. And I'm just like, what is the point of this movie supposed to be? And it's so sad, because it's still, sometimes I feel like maybe I need to do a little bit of, reflection to understand why I love this movie so much, because when you really describe it, it's like, oh, and you like that? So I don't know. So my favorite thing about this movie, a lot like Corpse Bride, is the music. I think the music makes this movie so iconic. I genuinely do. I think that the music in this movie is iconic. And I think that the imagery of it is why 30 years later, people still talk about it. Why you can go into any store at any given time, especially Halloween, and you can find something in the shape of Jack's face. Or you can find something that's, replicating Oogie Boogie, or the kids that were the trick-or-treaters that kidnapped Santa. You can find something Nightmare Before Christmas related. And I really feel like it is, in fact, the imagery of it and the music, it connects you to the movie. It's not just, it's a very deep, rich world. There's always something to look at, even when it's dark and dank. There's something to look at. There's something interesting, an interesting shape. There's always something to see. And that's my favorite part of the movie. And while we're talking about favorite parts, I think that my favorite character in the movie, I want to say is Sally, but after talking about how she's drugging this man, I don't know, but I'm just going to say Sally just to be safe, because I feel like Sally, it's fun to watch her gain her independence, but it's also like the way she's gaining it is probably, I'm just gonna move on. I'm gonna try to wrap this up because we already going over time. So my overall thoughts and my idea of the movie, we've already talked about it, is just that if you really watch the movie, Jack is not necessarily the most rootable character in the world. He's probably not someone that you're gonna, but when you're watching it, it feels completely different. When you're watching it, you want Jack to succeed. You want him to have a great Christmas. You want him to accomplish his goal and make people happy. It's just when you go back and you think about it, it's not really that. It's watching him take over something that's not his and trying to make it what he wants it to be. But I will say that if you don't watch it through that lens and you just want to watch a movie that is Halloween themed or Christmas themed, whichever time you decide to watch it, or you can watch both. That's what I typically do. I think the imagery is kind of disturbing for younger children, I would say, because I have a friend who basically said that, it traumatized her as a kid. And I was like, I could see that, because there is some very gory imagery. Even though it's not trying to be gory, it is kind of disturbing to see. So if you want to show it to your younger kids, it's up to you. I love this movie though, and for me it's a staple. So if you can look past the flaws in the story, if you can look past the things that they just kind of throw at us, like apparently they have some connection to the supernatural and can do whatever they want. If you look past things like that, I think you're going to love this movie. I really do. I think it's just a fun, feel good movie that you can just put on. You can sing along to, the characters, what they say. And it just, I love it. So I hope that y'all are having an amazing October so far. I hope that this month is bringing you whatever you want to bring. If it's bringing the spooky, then good. If you are enjoying the cooler weather, that's even better, because so am I. If you love watching the leaves change colors and you just love watching it get colder and people just bundling up a little bit more, then I'm so happy that you're getting this out of this time. Until next time, and the next movie review, it has been a pleasure as always. I hope y'all have a great day. Bye.